Hey everyone, it's Jonathan here, back for another episode of It's Monday, What's Jonathan Thinking? And I hope you all are having an amazing weekend. I know the weather is just glorious here in McKinney, Texas. About 70 degrees, everyone's barbecuing, having a good time. But we are in for a treat this Monday because I had an amazing time to sit down with Jack Doueck from the Energy Marketing Conference and learn a little bit about him, his background, the businesses he's running, and the amazing plans he has in store for EMC 17 this year and just a few weeks away. So let's get to it. Here is my interview with Jack Doueck. All right, well, welcome Jack to It's Monday, What's Jonathan Thinking? We're so excited to have you with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure, an honor to be here, Jonathan.
Well, it's been great working with you the last couple weeks. We are really excited to be at EMC 17. Should be a really great time. For those of you who watch my show but really don't understand the energy industry or don't know where you fit, can you just tell us who you are and what you do? Not to be the Bobs, but tell us what you do here.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So I'm one of the principals of a company called Advanced Energy Capital. And Advanced Energy Capital, we're the founders of a public renewable energy fund. It's now, thankfully, a little over $2 billion in energy projects. We also started the Energy Marketing Conference initially as a way to get the word out that we had capital for energy companies. We are partners in a bunch of energy companies, and we also run an LED, like a customer retention company called LED Plus, where we sent out packages of LED bulbs to over 600,000 customers of energy companies over the last 4 or 5 years as a way to retain customers and make them feel good about the energy companies that they are that they subscribe to. So those are the kinds of things that I'm involved in. Aside from the finance business, we also are involved somewhat in the real estate business. So we've just the interconnection of energy, finance, and real estate has been where we play. We have a lot of partners and a lot of friends, and it's been a great run. The Energy Marketing Conference, as I mentioned, we started with a guy named Larry Lakin. I met him in 2013. I actually met him at a NEMA, at a National Energy Marketers Association conference in June of 2013. We were both kind of falling asleep at that conference, and I turned to him and said, I spent a lot of my life running volunteer seminars and hedge fund conferences when I was in the hedge fund space, and I can run a really better conference than this. And he said, I just don't know the people. And he said, well, I know all the people. I have no idea how to run a conference. I said, well, let's get together and do it. So that was in June of 2013. The first conference was February of 2014 in New York City. It was a sellout, literally a sellout. We had to actually turn people away at the door because it was a fire hazard. And since then we've run, so we're up to our 17th conference taking place in Houston now, March 28th and 29th, which is just 2 weeks away. And we're very excited about it. We think we'll have about 500 people again, and we're back to normal. We're back post pre-COVID numbers, so we're excited about it.
Well, and EMC 16 in New York was actually my second EMC. I went to the previous one in Houston, and man, the vibe, the buzz, we had a really good time, and it was really fun being an exhibitor and being a supporter of the conference, which we'll be continuing to do with EMC 17. We're very excited.
Thank you so much for your support. The truth of the matter is, no one knows this, but we actually lose money on every ticket. But we make it up in sponsorship and exhibitor booths. And if not for our sponsors and exhibitors, we probably wouldn't be around right now because we make it so inexpensive to join, to attend. And that's why that's why we have the crowd. I mean, what people get for the money, 2 receptions, dinners, breakfast, lunch, break, all kinds of food and beverage, and of course, networking opportunities. In addition, there's 7 panels on the day of the conference. There's 4 executive workshops. There's a Retail Energy Supplier of the Year award, and the day before the conference is a 2-hour risk management seminar followed by 4 breakout sessions. So there's a tremendous amount of content and a tremendous amount of opportunities for networking, and that's the 2 reasons people come to our conferences. They want to learn and they want to and they want to meet people, and they want to grow in their careers. So that's what it really is all about for us.
Well, and I can attest as the head of energy and utilities practice at Cyber Group, we have definitely benefited from that networking aspect of the conference. It
Right.
definitely contributed to our bottom line, so we're very thankful for that. The retail energy industry, though, it has definitely had some challenges in the last couple of years. What do you think the biggest challenges are from a go-forward basis for the competitive industry?
Well, that's a great question. I would say there are four main challenges that this industry has. The first one is there are some bad actors. Most of those bad actors happen to be marketing companies, but there are bad actors, and they kind of spoil the whole bunch in a lot of ways. I'll tell you more about that later. Number two is there's a little bit of a lack of differentiation in the industry. That the retail energy suppliers kind of look and smell and look alike to customers. They don't know the difference. And if it all comes down to what's your price, what's your rate, it's not a great business to be in. It's a race to the bottom of the margin. So that's the second problem, differentiation. The third problem the industry has is that the monopolies, the utilities really love to spread, kind of bad press about the industry, and that's why this conference, for example, the theme is changing the narrative, because there's a lot of good press, there's a lot of good information that we should be sharing with the country, I would say. And then the fourth challenge has been, at least as long as I've been in this space, which is 24 years, there has not been a new state opened for choice, for restructured choice for supply for over 20 years. And I think part of that has to do with the reasons the three reasons I said above, which is you have some bad actors, which cause a lot of bad press. And even with the good actors, you have lack of differentiation.
So from your perspective, it sounds like both as a practitioner and as a leader of bringing this industry together, do you feel there are some solutions that maybe aren't getting discussed enough or should be discussed in more detail?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you, as far as the bad actors go, as I mentioned, most of the bad actors are not actually the retail suppliers or the brokers themselves. They're usually third-party marketing companies that take risks and pay people, commission-only kind of deals that end up, they kind of, self-fulfillingly, they turn themselves into bad actors. And so I think the first solution to that would be self-regulatory associations, organizations, and education to help people stay away from the bad guys and stay away from practices that would naturally lead to desperate salespeople. So that's A. B, on the differentiation side, I think a lot of the differentiation could come and will come and has come from going green. That could be helping customers with their ESG mission and goals, helping them make sustainable choices such as, carbon offsets, RECs, PPAs, VPPAs, responsibly sourced gas, maybe, and other things like that. In addition to ESG battery installation, you could do battery storage for clients. You can help them with frequency regulation. You can do DR for them. You can get involved in solar or DER. Carbon credits, of course, EFCs, which are emission-free credits. There's so many things that retailers should be in, and the ones that are really great at this are in already, and that are helping customers do more, not just provide the purest of all commodities. I mean, think about it. Electricity and natural gas is the purest of all commodities. It's not a paper cup where I could say my paper cup is better than your paper cup. There's no better electron. So right. You have to find ways to become meaningful to customers and to give them real value. Another example is what we see all the time. It's happening more and more. Are companies, retail energy suppliers, not only going green, but becoming more vertical. Building their own solar farms, for example, not just Constellation and the big guys like NRG, Green Mountain, but there are smaller to mid-sized companies that are doing this now. Tomorrow Energy, Source Power, the big guys are Brookfield, JEXA, and then you have companies that are helping customers across the country go green, not only in restructured states, Arcadia is a good example of that, that are selling RECs basically in 50 states. Additionally, you know, not to toot my own customer reward horn, but there's rewards that customers of energy companies deserve when they sign up and throughout the life cycle of a customer. So I mentioned before, we've sent out over 600,000 packages of LEDs. They're all white labeled with the name of the energy. It looks like it's coming from the energy company. The energy company is paying for them. Nest thermostats, for example, smart thermostats. I think Direct Energy 2 years ago, I announced at one of my conferences, they actually sent out almost 250,000 thermostats to their customers in 1 year. You don't really hear about utilities doing things like that. So, you know, there's a company I spoke to a couple of weeks ago. I think the name of it is Blue Sky Power, and they are literally, the goal is to take customers completely off the grid with a combination of a battery, a generator, and solar. Again, the jury's out as to whether that's going to happen, but that's another great example of differentiation. You know, customer centricity, digital innovation, having better technology and better transparency for customers. There are guys out there with apps, with putting the power in the hands of the customers for the first time. And these are reasons. These are reasons to exist. These are things that the regulated monopolies just don't, you know, they don't really think about. And I think the retail energy providers have an incredible opportunity to be well differentiated from each other and from regulated utilities.
Two things that I wanted to get your thoughts on. One is, yes, going green is awesome for sure. Like I'm a huge fan. However, when I look at the energy reports that come out of like Ernst & Young and their energy practice, they're showing that our thirst for power outweighs what green energy is able to accommodate. So there's always some delta between, you know, if I want to say the last report, it was something like 70 terawatts. The thirst for energy in the United States is like 70 terawatts. Of that, we're able to produce 45 to 50 through green energy sources. So you still have this delta of 20 that is contributing to our carbon footprint.
Yep.
Right, because we're going to source that through coal-powered plants or whatever. So, do you have a perspective on what can be done to etch away at that delta, or what is not being done? And why?
So that's a great question. The answer I gave you about going green was about really differentiating the messaging and differentiating the product mix for mostly mass market, small businesses, and even some larger customers of retail energy suppliers. Retail, you can only sell power in 16 states today, in 16 jurisdictions. The vast majority of this country are in monopoly states that are not restructured, and they are buying power because they have to buy power only from the local utility. Now, would the day happen that the entire country completely eliminates coal? While you're there, could you eliminate nuclear and natural gas as well, and only go hydro and solar and wind? I actually am not personally, I don't believe that's possible. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it needs to be possible, by the way. I don't think so. I think we could reduce our emissions in a lot of ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be totally based on solar or based on hydro or whatever. So I don't think there's a what's the word? You know, a contradiction between retail energy suppliers giving more choices and customers choosing or not choosing them. That's totally fine. In terms of the really biggest users of power in this country are not Mr. and Mrs. Smith living on Main Street. That they're not with their refrigerator and their and their dishwasher. That's not really the main source of the huge power industrial customers, the huge Fortune 1000 companies, let's say, that are using power, hundreds and hundreds of times more power than the simple residential customer. I'm not saying residential customers won't make a difference, but that should always be a choice. No one should force people to go green. And I'm certainly not advocating for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it never seems to, it makes the pill harder to swallow when you're being forced to do something.
Absolutely.
I can say, as I mentioned, I'm here in London, England this week, and it was really fascinating to see. You go outside to the cabbie pool, and all the cabs are electric. They have completely
Right.
um, converted them over,
Mhm.
and I don't know if how they're. I'll have to research exactly how they're doing that. But anyway, so that was an aside.
That's
I
great.
was
That's great.
always interested to talk about that. Um,
Mhm.
so let's come back to Energy Marketing Conference,
Mhm.
and let's talk about how do you feel that that EMC helps the industry?
Oh, that's a good question. So we've been in this space for about 9 years now, as I mentioned. We have virtually every retail energy supplier has attended our conference at least once, unless they just got started in the last couple of months. And as I mentioned, we're up to our 17th conference. We run one in Houston in the spring and one in New York City in the fall. We have big plans for this year. We are expanding the conference, and we're also expanding the Houston conference and also the New York conference to the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. What we do as part of our mission, and we have three pieces of our mission. Number one is be the best networking opportunity in retail energy. Have people come to the retail energy conference that are looking to move up, looking for jobs, companies looking for mergers and acquisitions. Networking is the biggest thing. The second is learning. As I mentioned, we have 7 panels, 4 executive workshops. We have four or five different sessions the day before the conference. A huge opportunity to learn, and that's number 2. And then number 3, we see the Energy Marketing Conference not only an opportunity for giving out awards to companies that are doing things with integrity, but also being an advocate for the retail energy space in the country. We've invited commissioners to our conferences. When we do webinars and when we do programs talking about leadership and integrity, talking about contributions that retail energy providers make to the local communities, we send those videos of the webinars to the commissioners, and we tell them we'd like to invite you to join these meetings. But if you can't join, we're going to send you videos so you can see what the retail energy industry is doing for the communities, especially during COVID. There was a lot of that going on, a lot of tremendous amounts of charity. You're going to hear on March 29th, the winner of the award of the Retail Energy Supplier of the Year award has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to charities, local charities. You really don't hear about things like that if you're just following, which AG is unhappy with which bad actor. So
Right.
we believe we're a huge source of advocacy for the industry. Any organization that starts up that works on advocacy. There's a new one that just started called REAL. I forgot what it stands for, but basically putting the real message out there. We're going to be helping them. We help a company like Green E. We help TIPA. We help NEMA until recently. Now I think they're defunct, but we've been helping the nonprofits bring their messages to the industry and bring their messages. I remember when not long ago, it was right before COVID, I think, we helped put together a petition. We got, not all myself, but we helped get over 600,000 names to sign to put choice on the ballot in Florida, in the state of Florida. If that would have happened, it would have been amazing. But the power of the utilities was just enormous. And they ran TV commercials and you name it saying, no, we don't want to put this on the ballot. And at the end of the day, it was not even on the ballot. People didn't have the choice to choose if they wanted to have choice. So it was just a very, very nasty thing. The same thing happened in Nevada. So we see ourselves, like I said, 3 missions: networking, learning, and advocacy. And we're always going to be that and hopefully more.
Yeah, and I think that lobbying effort is something that I think we can, if we can mobilize, we can probably affect some change here. There are 5 states that are in play for deregulation that last I checked. I don't know how those efforts are going, but I learned about it through the TIPA conference.
So there's something you just said. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I want to just mention something to you. I used to use the word deregulation also to describe this industry. And the reality is, and Richard Spilkey of Constellation really fixed me. He really corrected me. He said, Jack, do you think this industry is deregulated? We have so much regulatory oversight you can't even imagine. And the truth is, he's 100% right. So
Right.
now I changed my language. I use the word restructured states versus monopoly states because there's even more regulation than anybody can imagine when they go into this business. You can't believe how many forms you have to fill out, how many quarterly reports you have to answer to each not only to FERC, to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, but every state, the utilities. What you have to do is highly regulated. On the other hand, we're giving people choice. So that's
Right.
it's kind of a
Yeah, maybe the better
restructure.
term. You're absolutely right, and I will correct my language because maybe the better term is just open states up to competition.
Right, exactly.
And you're right because
So
it's not about deregulation. Probably actually
absolutely.
increases the regulation as you deregulate. So
Mhm.
so so Jack, I know you're passionate about your webinars that you run on overcoming adversity, which is a topic you've probably seen me tackle a little bit in my show.
Mhm.
And you wrote a book entitled Six Steps to Overcoming Adversity: How to Turn Setbacks into Comebacks. And that's selling on Amazon.com, shameless plug. Um, and uh, Tell me more about this part of your life and how people can find out more.
Well, thank you. Thanks for asking about that. So, not a long time ago, I was running a very large company that I started from scratch, and during the financial crisis, we had a rough time, as a lot of people did, and we watched, our billion-dollar company crumble. $40 million of my own money I lost. Friends, family, relatives, my children's trust funds, you name it. It was very rough. It was a rough time. So I promised myself when that happened that A, I was going to make a comeback, and B, I was going to try to help others that go through serious adversity. The adversity we had wasn't only business. I also lost both my parents within a year, lost my best friend to cancer. It all happened at the same time. It was a very, very rough time in my life. I can smile about it now because I feel like I've made a lot of strides to overcome it. We made some quite a remarkable comeback in the business, and we're still all together, the partners, which is miraculous. So I started giving classes, lectures in university, colleges, local colleges around the New York area, Queens College, Baruch College, Brooklyn College, a couple of others. And I started teaching kids, juniors and seniors in college, really, the management courses on what I came up with, 6 steps to overcoming adversity. These are the 6 things we did to overcome. And then I found other examples of companies like Lexus and Coke and a bunch of others that followed this really game plan, nothing to do with me. They just did what I basically outlined, and how they made comebacks from really, really deep adversity, almost at the brink of bankruptcy. The companies that couldn't do it, the companies that couldn't follow these steps, the companies that were in denial and sought to scapegoats and blame people and didn't go through this, like Radio Shack and a bunch of other companies that just you don't hear about anymore today. They hit those inflection points on the growth chart and they went the wrong way. So I decided to start teaching it. Then I wrote a book and I put it on Amazon, as you mentioned. I had some time during COVID to finally finish the book. It took me 10 years. And now I do webinars. I do free webinars for mostly now for energy companies, but also for young adults. I do it for community centers and some colleges on the 6 steps to overcoming adversity. I actually go through with a company called Tomorrow Energy. I did a webinar on the introduction. Then I do each webinar on each step. And the people that join it it looks like they're having fun, they're learning, and at the end I'm going to give them a quiz and give them a certification like life coach for a life coach. So it's kind of a cool side hobby. It's not a for-profit thing at all, but it's something that, as you mentioned, I am passionate about it. I do see myself as surviving what we went through for a purpose, and the purpose is to help others survive and help others get through difficult times. And I just had a group of kids in my at-risk teens in my house last night. Just happens to be coincidental to this interview you're giving me. And all we did was talk about their troubles and what they're going to do about using their troubles as springboards to become stronger and better citizens, and of course stay away from drugs and all that. So
Right,
so it was
right.
just it brings me great pleasure to be able to do it, and I'm happy to have a platform now to do that.
Well, Jack, that's incredible. That's incredible work. I think you and I share very similar passions, and I think a little bit of it flows through our own spirituality and our just how we
Yeah.
process things. And like you, I have been on a journey of that grief journey of losing. We lost the matriarch of our family about 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Okay. And it has been that kind of grief journey and getting through adversity and of course adversity in my business. So I will be reading your book. I'll be excited to learn from you. And
Thank you.
it's been such a great exchange, and I'm so excited that you were able to come on the show today.
Loved it.
It's been great having you. You're welcome anytime.
Jonathan, you are a special guy, and I'm so happy you gave me this opportunity to come on your show. I'm going to be watching all your shows from now on. I'm not going to miss one. And I really want to thank you also from the bottom of my heart for being such a great sponsor and participant in the EMC. You guys are sponsoring the CEO Roundtable.
Yep.
And and you're having one of your board members is moderating it, and I'm looking forward to that. I know that board member at least 10 years
For a
now.
long time. He was like the third, I think
Yep.
was it a third at EMC?
Yeah.
First,
Yeah. He's a good guy. So
he's a great guy, great mentor. Yeah.
yep. All right. I'm looking forward. Thanks a million, Jonathan. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you, Jack.
All right. Have a good day.
And I think that's a wrap for this week. Thank you again, Jack, for being on the show. It was truly an honor having you. And I look forward to seeing you at EMC 17. And I look forward to seeing the rest of my energy colleagues and friends at EMC 17, March 28th through 29th at the Hyatt Regency in Houston. Come see us in the exhibitor hall where we will be manning our booth, as well as see us on Tuesday afternoon where we will be sponsoring the CEO panel. And I hope you all have a great week. And I will see you next week on It's Monday with Jonathan Thinking.